Hi again, everyone. Scottiplier here, and today is December 8th, which means it's AnnaSophia Robb's birthday. And I think today is a good time to look back at one of her older movies that I hold a special place in my heart, as well as Because of Winn-Dixie and Bridget Terabithia. And, you know, I want to talk about this movie, Soul Surfer, which came out like so many years ago, back in 2011, and it was, around the time that I was in high school, so I was the perfect age when Soul Surfer came out. I saw this movie in theaters with my whole family, with my mom, my dad, and my sister. I saw this movie in theaters with my whole family, and, this is definitely a movie that can really pull at the heartstrings and also has a really strong message. Like, for example, something bad happens to you, right? And you coming back from that, if you're an athlete, for example, like a surfer, or someone that plays baseball, if something bad happens to you, and it's kind of a comeback story in that sense. And I think there's some really strong themes and messages in this film that still moves me even to this day as an adult. And I want to, before I give my full review, I want to talk about the director real quick, Sean McNamara, who I know I've seen his name before I saw this film. I knew I did. I wasn't sure where, but I couldn't believe the projects that he's worked on before in the past, before I saw Soul Surfer. And looking back on it now, he worked on, he was a longtime collaborator on Disney Channel. He worked on That's So Raven, Shake It Up, Ant Farm. He directed the Sweet Life movie, which came out the same year. The Sweet Life movie, based on Sweet Life on Deck, it came out in 2011, same year as Soul Surfer. And also, I completely forgot about this fact when I reviewed Casper: A Spirited Beginning a few months ago. Sean McNamara directed that as well, and I didn't even realize that when I did that review. Sean McNamara, who directed this Casper movie that I reviewed a few months back, I just think that it's so fascinating that he's worked on so many projects that I've watched growing up, and it just comes full circle into adulthood, I think Sean McNamara is really good with humor, especially on all the Disney Channel shows that he's worked on, as well as the Sweet Life movie, which, that movie has its issues, but I enjoy it. And also just the fact that I get this movie, and this is easily my favorite project that Sean McNamara has ever worked on, because this movie holds a very special place in my heart because of those strong messages that I've talked about. The idea of how when something happens that can nearly make you feel like you don't want to do this anymore, and it feels like it's the end of the world, and then you're around all these other people that are there for you, and those people help you get a new perspective, and other people that are also suffering out there, you see that for yourself firsthand, and that moves you in a way that you're not expecting, and it helps create hope and the idea of love, not just coming from family, but from other people out there as well, and how moving that can be, how powerful that can be, which is what inspires Bethany to continue surfing even after she loses her arm. And I think that's just some very moving story for this film. It's based on a true story. Bethany Hamilton is still going strong as a surfer. I hope she is still out there and still surfing and still going strong. And, there's something to be said about how, within the events of the actual true story in this film, she sort of kind of unintentionally becomes well known, right? Because it's this true event that happened became something very well known throughout the country. And there's a scene where Bethany's character, played by AnnaSophia Robb, gets all this fan mail, and it's just a really interesting way of telling this story, and very moving in that sense. And I want to cater to a few negatives that I do have about this film. I don't want to be completely positive, because I do think that for the first 20 to 30 minutes of Soul Surfer, I do think that it goes at a bit of a quick pace until the shark attack happens, and that's when the movie starts to take its time and flows a little bit more naturally. I just think that the first 20 to 30 minutes of the film just feels like it's going at a bit of a breakneck pace. And this is a short movie too. It's like 1 hour and 40 minutes long. And also, I think, there is this one other character in this movie who's kind of like a bully, like the kind of bully that you would expect in like high school or something. But, she's a competitor, right? She is competing against Bethany in the surfing, challenge tournament thing. And I like how you get that kind of competitive nature from this character, even though she's not a character that you really care for that much. And I do like that. And also you get quite the star-studded cast. Like, what else can you say about Dennis Quaid? Like, whenever I see Dennis Quaid in a movie or a TV show, there's something about him that makes me think of Harrison Ford. He kind of reminds me of Harrison Ford a little bit. And also Helen Hunt is in this movie as her mom. And Carrie Underwood. I think Carrie Underwood is like this kind of teacher and mentor to Bethany, and there's some really great moments with her character. And also just I don't know the actors that played like Bethany's brothers. I don't know them really. But also Craig T. Nelson, what else can I say about him? He voiced the Mr. Incredible in the Incredibles movies, and he was recently on Young Sheldon. And yeah, I love Craig T. Nelson. He's a great actor, and he was like the doctor in this movie who was taking care of Bethany after the shark attack. And there's some really sweet moments there. And throughout the film, you just have this character that you're following who, the shark attack happens. She loses her left arm. And when I first saw this movie in theaters, like, when that attack happens, I feel like I actually felt something on my left arm too when that scene happened. And it's kind of the same kind of sensation I had when watching Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, when Harry gets that really bad cut from that knife near the end of that movie, and you kind of get that kind of feeling on your arm too when that scene happens. And I kind of felt that a little bit watching Soul Surfer for the first time in theaters. And I think I'm surprised this movie had a mixed reception, because I think this is a really good film. I think it's a very moving film. It's a movie that families can watch, and just based on the fact alone that it's based on a true story, is something that became quite the well-known thing that I wasn't expecting to become so well-known. Because I'm gonna go into this now. I actually 6 years ago, it was around this time 6 years ago that I traveled to the Hawaiian Islands with my mom and my sister, and it was a great trip. I loved staying at this resort hotel area in, was it Kauai or was it Oahu? It might have been Oahu. Wait, no, not Oahu. We stayed in Kauai, and we stayed on the Big Island of Hawaii, and I loved that trip. It was a great trip, and we saw filming locations for not just the Soul Surfer movie, but also Jurassic Park. There were parts of the Jurassic Park movie that filmed in Kauai, as well as the movie Hook by Robin Williams. That movie was filmed in Kauai, and Soul Surfer was filmed in Kauai. And I was there. Like, I was in that area where the Soul Surfer movie was filmed. It was filmed on the Big Island of Hawaii, and in Kauai, and also in Oahu. We didn't stay in Oahu, but my uncle did. Like a couple of years ago, my uncle stayed in Oahu, which is actually how I got this shirt that I'm currently wearing, this Aloha shirt that I'm wearing. My uncle got this for me when he stayed in Oahu a couple of years ago. So yeah, I was there. I walked on the same soil as the actress that from Soul Surfer, AnnaSophia Robb. I walked on the same soil she did. Kind of a funny thing. But yeah, and there's something to be said about this movie because when I first saw it, this was where I really started to see how talented AnnaSophia Robb was as an actress and her acting range. Like, I mean, even when she was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in 2005, even back then, she really showed her acting range, but especially here with this movie, Soul Surfer, her acting range and her talent just was so incredible to me when I first saw this movie. And also, this was also around the time that my my crush started to intensify a little bit on her. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But when I first saw this movie, that's when I really started to think about her a lot more. After seeing Soul Surfer for the first time, that's all I'm gonna say about that. But yes, and that's that story I was telling, about how I was staying in Kauai, because I didn't get a chance to go to the beach itself, but the tunnel beach that was filmed, where Soul Surfer movie was filmed, I didn't get a chance to go to that beach specifically because we were in a bit of a rush. I think we were going to a reservation or something, me and my mom and my sister, and I really wanted to see Tunnel Beach. I really did. I didn't get a chance to see Tunnel Beach, was one of the beaches I really wanted to visit when we were staying there. I missed that chance to see Tunnel Beach, but there were also Rip Curl stores when we were there, and there were a few stores that my mom and my sister loved doing, antique shopping in antique stores and things like that. And there was this one store that we went into in Kauai where I actually saw posters of the Soul Surfer movie inside the store. And that was interesting seeing, and it makes sense too, because that's where the movie was filmed. And I just think that was so fascinating, seeing just posters of the movie being shown on a wall in a store in Kauai when we were there. And that was definitely quite the trip. I loved that trip, and I hope we stay there again someday. And to Bethany Hamilton, who's hopefully still doing good and still going strong as a surfer. I hope she's doing well. And today is AnnaSophia Robb's birthday. Happy birthday. I don't know. I still have no idea if AnnaSophia Robb knows about my YouTube channel. I don't know. But just in case, happy birthday, Anna. And I think if I had to give this movie a grade, Soul Surfer, I definitely give it an A. I don't have too many flaws with it, except for the fact that, there's this one character that you don't really care for, and also, the first 20 or 30 minutes just felt a little bit rushed. And that's pretty much it where my review goes. And also, back in 2011, when this movie came out, there were quite a few other movies that came out that year, too. Deathly Hallows Part 2 came out that year, the first Thor movie, Captain America, the First Avenger, and Rise of the Planet of the Apes. 2011 was stacked with movies, and there were 3 of those movies that still to this day I absolutely love. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Deathly Hallows Part 2, and this movie, Soul Surfer. And out of the movies that I saw back in 2011, Soul Surfer, even compared to Deathly Hallows Part 2 and Rise of the Planet of the Apes, still moves me even now. And I love this film. It holds a very special place in my heart. And I'll always love the message that this movie is telling throughout its story. And that even if you're going through a lot, even if it feels like it's not the end of the world, you have people around you that love you, that are there for you, and also other people that you may see that are also struggling, and that can motivate you in a sense that it gives you a new perspective. And helps you create hope for the future, and that's one aspect of this movie that I absolutely love. And yes, so that should do it for this review and that little story about my trip to Kauai. And yeah, that should do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all next time. Take care. Happy birthday, AnnaSophia Robb, and I love all of you. Peace.